How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. We are doing once again, since it's been a while, a Knowing That Content Creator episode interview, and I'm joined here by Ryan of Nerd Culture. How are we doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well, good sir. I almost messed up my words there, but it's good to be here. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me. This is great. It's not often I get to sit in the hot seat. I'm normally the one who's hosting a lot of shows and putting out a lot of content, entertaining the masses. But I'm always willing to help other indie creators out, and I'm always willing to be in the hot seat because hey, everyone's got an true Hollywood story, so why not
Oh
share
yeah,
mine?
I mean, oh no, as I agree. And if anyone's familiar with Ryan, he was on here, I think a few months back, late, I think it was last year, or early this year, when Alex, and Brian did a review on the first Spider-Man film.
Yeah. I think it was that. Didn't we manage to like slip in conversation about X-Men at one point?
I think I'm not sure. I think I did that. I think we talked about X-Men in that one. I can't remember. I've done so many of these that it's like I lose track. And I know I'm supposed to like have a script, like but I don't use it. So I have nothing against scripts or anything. It's
No.
just I can't think of stuff. I can't think of stuff right.
Okay.
So whatever pops up, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yes, I'm joined here with Ryan of Nerd Culture, and we are going to be talking about what it's like him being a content creator. So to begin, Ryan, what made you decide to want to be a content creator, and how long have you been doing it for?
Well, let's go back in the Wayback Machine for a second here. Let's hop in our good-looking DeLorean, go 88 miles per hour, and see some serious you know what. And a long time ago, I was like 6 or 7, and I had this feeling, I had this thinking that I want to be an entertainer. I want to be an actor or an entertainer in some way, shape, or form because I grew up watching movies like Aladdin and Ace Ventura Pet Detective and films like that starred the likes of the late great Robin Williams and Jim Carrey and some of those other comedic and dramatic actors. And I just really liked what they were putting out. And I thought, this is fun. I want to be like that when I grow up. I want to be an actor. I want to be like a comedian and just make people laugh and smile and all this other stuff. So I've wanted to be an entertainer, quote unquote, since I was like 6 years old when watching movies and TV shows like Power Rangers. I thought, geez, I wish I could be one of those guys. That would be a lot of fun. I don't know so much about the spandex, but I have to get a different fabric or color for me. But hey, suits are suits, TV is TV. So let's just leave it at that. So I've been a content creator for gosh, ever since I graduated from broadcasting school. I went to a trade school specifically for broadcasting, radio broadcasting, to be a little bit more specific. In 2006, 2007 is when I was there. I got 600 hours of training in 6 months, and I went into the trade for a couple of years of working in radio as a board op and stuff like that. And in between that, I had these two friends of mine from high school, and we had a podcast called the RPM Show. No, it's not my initials, although that was somewhat of a factor in calling it that. But we called ourselves the RPM Show because we like to have fun and we were a fast-paced show. So we would talk about the latest in movies and TV and some funny stories and throw it into the mix for, good measure. And we were doing that, and then that kind of fell apart. We were still friends, but we went in different directions. And then I went to college for a good while, and I got my degree in electronic media and film. And during that time, I met some people who were like-minded, like myself, that we like to nerd out and we like to share our passions about fandoms with other people. And we put together a channel and we called ourselves Nerd Culture. So it was me and it was 5, 6 other people, and a few people came in and out during that time. And it was about 3, 4 years ago that Nerd Culture started to really get off the ground. And we had our YouTube channel. It was me, Caroline, and Greg, and Travis, and Ruth, and Nick, myself, and I think Rich was a part of it at one point. So we all had our individual playlists in the beginning of Nerd Culture, which you can find on YouTube at Nerd Culture Channel. Hashtag always be promoting.
Link
It,
below.
exactly. Yes, exactly. And you can also, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk
If
social media.
I ever remember to actually put the link below this, because I haven't done that in a few videos for a
It's
while.
okay. I'll send it to you in post. So it's okay. But anyway, so we all had our individual playlists, and I said, hey, I like to meet new people and interview people. Why don't I do a talk show or an interview show? And they said, okay, sure, go ahead and do it. So when Nerd Culture was getting off the ground, I thought, all right, I'm going to do a show where I interview content creators, people who put out content, or people who've worked in the industry of Hollywood, whether they've worked in major motion pictures or indie films, or they make fan films or whatever else. And I just started interviewing people. I started reaching out, and in spite of what we were going through a couple of years ago, known as the pandemic, I made a lot of friends and made a lot of networking connections in spite of the pandemic. So, as much as we don't like to hear that word pandemic, and we don't like to look on it with fond memories, I got to tell you, the pandemic forced us to
Oh,
really, be
yeah.
creative and step out of our boxes and reach out to people we otherwise wouldn't have reached out to. So I I just started watching content on Facebook during the lockdown, and I met some people, and I started connecting with those individuals, and they got me in touch with other content creators and other indie writers and indie publishers and all that stuff, and it just snowballed within the last 3 years specifically. And now I have a show that I do every week called And I Quote. And I interview people from all over the world. I've interviewed actors, I've interviewed producers, I've interviewed independent writers, independent publishers, people who are into steampunk, people who cosplay, do all kinds of wonderful and creative things that some of these things I could never do. That is for sure.
I
But
feel that.
my hat's off to all the content creators that are out there, going after what they want, and, sharing their passion with other people, because it's a community that way.
It's
And
not easy though.
it's not an easy, no, it's not an easy thing. And the team and I, Neuroculture, when we first started, we were very, fortunate to make the connections that we did and putting out the content that we did. And once again, I want to give my hats off to all the originals that we had at Neuroculture. I may run the channel by myself now, but it was a team. Believe me, it was a team effort to get us to this point. So thank you to everybody who helped us get here. Thank you to everybody who's contributed and gave us advice and gave us tips. And I want to thank Ruth, Caroline, Travis, Greg, Nick, all Rich, all you guys. Seriously, you're so creative. You're
Always
wonderful
love giving
people.
a shout out.
And I got to give the OG team of Neuroculture a shout out, because without them, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So uh, thank you. So in a nutshell, that's how I came to be as a content creator, and I'm doing it still to this day. I'm actually going to be a content creator till I'm dead,
Well, I
because I
mean, as long as you,
because I
as
love it
long,
too. Because to be honest with you, Wayne, I love it too much. I have too much fun with it, and you make so many friends because of it. So why would I want to
oh
give that
yeah,
up? I don't want to.
as I always tell people, and this goes without saying, it's the people you have on your channel that make it what it is. You're the one who, you're the one who edits, records, posts, but like the guests, the people who support you, they're the ones that make the channel.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it takes teamwork to make the dream work, 100%. So that's basically how I came to be a content creator. I've wanted to be an entertainer since I was 6, and here I am today. X amount of decades later. I'm not as young as I once was, but hey, I'm still in my prime. I got no, at this point, I don't really have any regrets. I mean, because you learn from mistakes, you learn from the bad days, you learn from the negativity, you learn from the bullying that all of us have struggled with at some point or another. So you take what you can learn from it, and here I am today doing what I love, and that's Neuroculture. I do And I Quote. I do a bunch of shows now. I'm doing tons of stuff. I do The Meaning of Fandom, where we discuss what fandoms or characters mean to us and why. I do a show called The Nerdy Cantina, where we geek out about all things Star Wars, because Star Wars has been around for almost 50 years and it's still going, which is
Oh,
insane to
God,
me.
yeah.
Which is insane. And yes, Star Wars has good days, and Star Wars has seen some bad days. Like all fandoms, by the way. I'm not saying that Star Wars is the only one that's had good and bad days at the office. Every fandom has had good and bad days. Period. Anyone who says otherwise, you're fooling yourself. So,
No,
but I do Nerdy Cantina. I do. Oh my gosh. I mean, we do movie anniversary watch-alongs. When a movie turns a certain age, we
I saw you and just starting someone else watch. I think was the first Mortal Kombat movie a while back.
Oh my gosh, that's going back to when we first started doing movie anniversary watch-alongs. The first Mortal Kombat movie, that was a huge thing for us, because not only was it me, and I think we had another member of the team with us, or another guest with it, but the two special guests that we had that night for the Mortal Kombat, the original, the 1995 movie, which is, by the way, it's the best of all of them.
Oh yeah, no, hands
Anyone else who
down.
says otherwise, I think you're fooling yourself. I mean, listen, I like the reboot that came out 2 years ago, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. But anyway, that's beside the point. We had Mick Strawn on that show, and he was one of the production designers for that movie. And he also was on the production design team for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So Mick Strawn that's a big name. And then the other person we had on that show was Daniel Pacina, who was one of
Wait,
the original character and game developers for Mortal Kombat. Like he did the motion capture and he played, Johnny Cage and some of the other
oh,
characters. Yeah, in the original video game, like the original video game,
oh, I
and
know. I'm familiar.
that's Pacina. Yeah,
I'm familiar with Dan Pacino, the original look for Johnny Cage back
yes,
in the '90s.
yeah, and a bunch of other characters too. He did a bunch of them. So we had him and Mick Strawn on that show, and I'm thinking, we're doing a movie anniversary watch along with people who were involved in not only the making of the movie, but the making of the video game. I mean, my gosh, that is a huge honor for anyone to have. So, and thank
Yeah.
you to Daniel Pacina and Mick Strawn for being on that show. I'm actually friends with Mick. Mick and I are Facebook friends, and
I gotta say, doing this stuff, you
yeah,
make a lot of connections. You follow their work, and the next thing you know, they're on your show, and it's like, this actually happening? Am
yeah,
I actually having like this person who made this or this person who made that, or
who
it's
helped bring
crazy.
it to life. Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so thankful and grateful and fortunate that I've had so many different people on my show from different walks of content creation, different walks of life, all that stuff. I mean, I've interviewed people in other countries, and it's amazing to me. It's like, wow, you can't really get this in a history class. Like when you meet people
Oh,
from the
no.
other parts of the world that you've never explored, you get to learn from them. So it's been a treasure. So that's how I came to be a content creator. To answer your question.
No, no. Next up, the name Nerd Culture. Who came up with that, and what made you choose the name Nerd Culture?
So when we started, we were known as something else, and then we had to reboot and plant our plant the flag, plant the seeds, whatever you want to call them, put down roots. And we all just sat around and we looked at each other and we thought we really like nerding out. And yeah, I think it was actually our original. I wouldn't say president, but the El Capitan, our leader, if you will. Even though we didn't really have a leader because we were all one family, we're all one team, we're all one group, but we kind of made Caroline the de facto leader of the whole channel in the beginning. So she sat down with us and we were throwing out ideas, and she thought, we thought, why don't we just go with nerd culture? Because we love nerding out about stuff. And, the nerd culture is such a big place and there's so many different people. Why not just call ourselves that? And we thought, okay, yeah, makes sense. I'm down. And then, Greg and Travis and Ruth and Caroline started coming up with the ideas for the design. The tapestry that you see behind me, the design that the
I love the
neon,
background.
yeah. So
So when like you still get their design on their backdrop.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the tapestry you see behind me here, the nerd culture, that was all their design, and they wanted neon, so it's like a neon sign. So they basically wanted you to make you think that you were walking into a club or you were walking into a lounge area, and you're just hanging out with your friends, and you're kicking back, and you're talking about your favorite things that you watched when you were a kid, and some of the things you enjoy to watch or talk about now. And that's why nerd culture. That's the reason why our YouTube channel and our thumbnails and the things that we post on our social media look the way that they do, because we wanted people to feel welcome and to chill out and just have fun and enjoy themselves.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like thumbnails are a good way from what I've realized. Thumbnails are a good way to like attract people to your content.
Hmm.
I mean, I imagine like back in the day when you first had your like original thumbnails, like not bad. I can do better, but I'm working with what I got now. And then once I get more recognition, it's like okay, it's time to make this change. It's time to make that change, but still keep it at its core of what it originally was.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So my hat's off to the people who put this logo and everything together. I'm glad I was able to get the tapestry to hang up in my studio. So every time I'm on a show, I can say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I'm from." So just
It
roll
definitely lets
with it.
people know it's your brand
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it's our baby. It's our home. So I do my best to represent it every day. So the crew and I, that's how we came up with it. And then after that, when the lockdown ended, the rest of the team went on to new jobs and greener pastures, and they said, "Hey, if you want to keep making content, and just keep doing what you're doing on the channel, feel free to do it." I said, "Yes, absolutely, I would love to." So they gave me the keys to the castle, and I've been running this castle ever since. So I've been running it by myself for gosh, probably 1.5, 2 years now,
Oh
maybe.
man.
I don't know, but it's been fun because I mean, not that I didn't hate working with those guys, not at all. I mean, they're my brothers and my sisters. I'm gonna love them forever. But I got the keys to the castle. I can do whatever I want. I can host as many shows as I want. I can post as many videos as I want. I can. But the fun fact though is I do everything live. I do everything live.
Well,
Nothing.
that's right.
Some of the stuff we did when we first started were pre-recorded and taped. But when the team left and I was left with the keys to the car, I said to myself, pre-recordings are fine, but I prefer to interact with the audience, and I want to hear back from people. I want to see what kind of questions they want to ask us. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do everything live because it's more fun that way. Plus, it keeps the guests on their feet. It makes them have to think a little bit. It's like, oh, I got to think about this question a little bit. I can't just sit here for 30 seconds like in Jeopardy and have the theme song playing in the background. No, you can't because I do my best to not have dead air on my shows, but then again, nobody's perfect and mistakes happen. Mistakes happen.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
fine. We roll with it. But yeah, everything I do is live. So fun fact for the person who may be watching this. Yeah. So there you go.
It's just
Next,
this.
what's the next question, Wayne?
Oh, Channel. I mean, I feel like I feel like I've done these long enough to where it's like I don't have that jitters. Like I know what to ask, and
Okay.
it's easy. Um. So next question
Okay.
is actually this is actually something I always thought to myself.
Sure.
If you can go back to your younger self and tell them, and I always if I always said this thing, if someone told me that I was doing this years, if I let me reiterate that, I always told myself, if someone had told me I was going to do this when I, high school me, I was going to do stuff like this, I would tell them you are full of shit. If you can go back and tell your younger self that this is something you would be doing, what do you think your younger self would say?
Oh, wow. Great question. Great question. So this is why we pay Wayne the non-existent big bucks here on this studio. So here, see, there you go. There's your free.
Somebody will get that YouTube money.
Yeah, here's your free humor. So, my gosh, here's the deal. I, along with many others, and the person who may be watching or listening to this, you may have gone through this too. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I would say to my younger self, don't let the bullies win. And if you want to be funny and entertaining in a certain way, just be prepared to go a different route because the way you're thinking right now is all well and good, but once you get older, your plans are going to change drastically, and fate or destiny or God, whatever you may believe in, has other plans for you. So just be ready for that. Like you may think you want to be a actor in Hollywood, but fate's going to have other plans for you, and you're going to take a different approach to things, and you're going to take a bit of a different direction. But don't be afraid of it. Just embrace it. Just go for it because it's going to land you. You're going to have so many rewards waiting for you when you put in the practice, when you get the training, when you put in the work, and just have fun with it. Don't think of it as an obligation. Don't think of it as a job. Just have fun with it, honestly. So that's what I would tell my younger self is the two biggest things I would say to my younger self is don't let the bullying or the negativity win out, and just be prepared that life's going to take you in a different direction and just embrace it. Don't run away from it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the stuff we're doing now is was unheard of back then. Not unless you were part of like G4 TV, some
Mm.
news outlet, some
MTV News or TRL.
something,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. It's like like what we have now wasn't available to us
Hmm.
back then,
Yeah.
like it is now. Like everyone is now doing what we're doing because we used to watch stuff like on G4 TV, MTV, VH1, whatever. Now we have that access to our phones, computers. Now we can do what they're doing,
Mhm.
just whether it's with a script, not a script, and on your own time too.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't think of it. Yeah. Don't worry about deadlines. Just go for it. Just have fun with it too. Don't worry so much about the negatives and things that may happen or may not happen. Just go for it.
Oh no, I wholly agree. Another question.
Yep.
It's actually something I had with like dealing with. have there been times where you feel like, and the answer is always different. Have there been times where you feel like you just want to stop? You wanted to stop doing content because you weren't sure if people were going to tune in and watch your stuff. Like you just feel like, is this really worth doing it, kind of thing?
Once again, another very good question by our esteemed colleague known as Wayne. So here's the thing. In the beginning, when we first started doing this, and this is going back about 4 years, we all of us were in a different we were in a different state of affairs, and we were all nervous. We were all scared about what this pandemic was going to be doing. So when we started doing our content and started putting out stuff on our channel, I thought, okay, we're going to get some views. We may get some comments, but we're not going to skyrocket to like 1 million subscribers overnight, even though there's a part of us that thought we were going to. We all
You know,
wanted to.
back in the day, it was a whole lot easier. People checking
Yeah.
out your channel.
When we started four, was it like 3-4 years ago now, we were thinking, okay, this is gonna take some time, but as long as we put in the work, as long as we're putting out videos every week, and that was another thing we kind of struggled with too in the beginning was we we would have weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. It was one or the other, and we would set deadlines for our videos that we had to put out or had to put together, and sometimes we wouldn't meet those deadlines, sometimes we would, and it was a struggle in the beginning. It was, but for me, I would say in the beginning, when I started running things, when the team and I were together, we were great and we loved it and we enjoyed it, and we started getting views and hits, nothing major, but we were enjoying it. And then once we met up with the team over there at HWWS Web TV, which is called Hanging with Web Show Web TV, they were a huge help for us to get more exposure on the channel and more exposure on what we were putting out for content. And we start partnering with them and working with them, and they're great people. They're fantastic. Garrett, Sage, Dina, Steve, all of them. And all right, we're getting more exposure, we're getting a bit more of views and things like that. But I still wasn't, for me, I wasn't hitting the numbers that I knew I could hit. And for not a long time, but for a good while there, I thought, okay, these videos have got to reach more than just 10 views. These videos have got to hit more than just 20. I want more than just 30. Like really, I want people to really start taking it seriously, because we're doing this because we love it. And you want to get like, it's a give and take, right? Like you want to put out content, but you want to get some of that love in return. And you don't
Hmm.
always see that with
It's not as easy as it was back
no.
in like 2009, 2010, where you can just start out. Next thing you know, boom, your channel has over 180,000 views, and this one particular video has like over 80,000 views.
No, the algorithm has changed. The way the way people view their videos has changed. YouTube has changed. The formats have
Mhm.
changed. The templates have changed, and we were just navigating as we went along. We were just going as we went along. Like we were just making it up as we went. And nowadays, I can't remember, and I apologize. I wish I had these numbers in front of me. Before Caroline and the rest of the team left to move on to greener pastures and get new jobs, we had a certain number of subscribers, and now today in 2023 we're up to 862 now
That's not
subscribers,
honest. That's really not bad.
which is not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, because way back when we were lucky if we had 300 subscribers, like, oh, 300 subscribers, 400, big deal. But now we're really starting to climb the ladder. And I keep telling people, I said, look, and I say this at the end of each of my shows when I'm doing them here in 2023. Once we hit 1,000, we're going to do a live stream celebration. It's going to have returning guests, some special guests. We're going to do giveaways, which I've already spoken to independent content creators saying, hey, when you hit 1,000, like, I'm willing to put up some stuff for you guys to give away. And I'm like, great.
I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I said to these individuals, I don't want to name them because I don't want to give away any spoilers. Although I have given away one, but that's just because I have their stuff here in front of me on my desk. But anyway, you know, I know we can do it. Like we started, we started at the bottom of the barrel, when we started the channel, and now we're all the way up to 862 subscribers. Word is getting out. We're getting more. Certain videos definitely get more views than others. And the other thing I've
Well,
realized,
Oh, well, I can attest to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. What I was about to say was what I'm realizing now is that you can get more hits on a video on Facebook than you can on YouTube because the algorithms are so different. They're so
Same
so
with
different.
it's the same with TikTok too.
Yeah, it's just the algorithms are different on every social media channel network or however you want to phrase that. But what I've noticed is that I'm getting a lot more hits on Facebook than I do on YouTube. But then when people see the Facebook numbers and then I see other people tuning in on YouTube and I see comments coming in from YouTube and then they subscribe to the channel and then I'm plugging in on other Facebook pages, I'm plugging it on other social media channels like Twitter and Instagram, people are starting to notice it and that's starting to
Oh
show
yeah,
in the numbers excuse me, on YouTube, because certain videos of mine will get 150 views, some of them will get 80 views, 90 views, and then some of them are just going to get 25 or 30, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess I must have that guest wasn't particularly interesting to that individual, but that's okay because we're like Baskin Robbins. We have 31 flavors. We have something for everybody. We've talked in the past, we've talked about Marvel. In the past, we've talked about DC. We talk about Star Wars. We do movie anniversary watch alongs. This is fun. You want to hear a fun fact?
yeah.
You want to hear fun? So here's a but to answer your question though, I was, kind of, bummed out when I wasn't getting numbers that I wanted to, but nowadays I'm starting to get more and more views on certain videos than I am others, and the subscriber numbers are definitely picking up steam, which is good. And thank you to all of
Oh
those
yeah.
who have subscribed and liked our channel and have shared
I
our videos. Like, thank you to all of you
I
because
have noticed that recently. Like even my channel's like, okay, that's not supposed to be like that, but I'll take it.
yeah, yeah. But fun fact: if you go and you can see this, it's all there. If you go to our YouTube channel, I don't know if this is going to be one of your future questions. I don't mean to let the cat out of the bag, but our most watched video on our YouTube channel. This is only YouTube. I'm not talking about the other formats. I'm talking specifically our YouTube channel. Is the movie anniversary watch along that we did with Distance Nerding, also known as Phil. Phil of Distance Nerding was on this episode with me. He was there. He was with me. Captain Ron, the 30th anniversary watch along of the
I think I saw
1992
that.
comedy classic Captain Ron, starring Kurt Russell, Martin Short, and company, has I think it has over 10,000 views on YouTube. And every time I have gone to our YouTube analytics, because by the way, if you're a content creator, you can go to the analytics in your YouTube studio. Just click on YouTube,
I always do that every
look
time
at
I
the
see
numbers.
like.
And when you see they tell you what your top 3 videos are that are getting the most hits, right?
Mhm.
The number one, every time I check the numbers, every time it says you've gotten 53 more hits on Captain Ron. You got 73 more hits on Captain. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Of all
Exactly.
the videos that we have put out in the 3 to 4 years that we've been a YouTube channel, why is Captain Ron the most viewed and the most watched one? I don't get it. But what I what I have learned in the past, this is going back a number of years, Captain Ron has a cult following like many movies do. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking that when we did it initially, we didn't get a whole lot of views when we did the anniversary, because like I said, everything we do is live. So that video, when it went live, we only got maybe a dozen views. And then days and weeks later, it's all of a sudden up to 1,000. And now it's up to 10,000. Today, it is up to over 10,000 views on YouTube. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what's going on. I guess people have a nostalgia or want to keep going back and watching that video between Phil and I of us just commentating while we're watching the movie. And listen, if you want to watch the movie with us, you can. All you got to do is just pull it up on your streaming service or wherever you have access to it. And you can watch the movie with us as we're watching it. And then you can comment as we're watching the movie, because I pull up comments on our screen all the time. So that amazes me that of the 430, what is it, 60, I forget, it's 432, 462, one or the other. I know that's a big gap, I'm sorry. Between the 432 or 462 videos that we have on our channel, that is the one that has the most hits. I'm never going to understand that, but I'm thankful because it's more people are seeing it, they're responding to it, the word's getting out, and then that tells them that, hey, this video is cool. What else do these people have?
Yeah.
And then they
And you notice it's usually people who watch it, they don't have a YouTube channel. They don't have
yeah,
like a YouTube account. They just log on to YouTube and YouTube will suggest this thing.
yeah. And then they just find it, and then they go back, and then if they want, they can go back to our channel and watch some of our other videos because we have over 430 videos. So there you
I
go.
lost track of how many videos I have on my channel.
I got to go back and look at my YouTube channel and tell you later. But yeah, I think it's between 430 and 462, which, by the way, once we hit our 500th video, I'm probably going to have to do a live stream celebration for that.
Yeah, that's what I did with the cosplay contact one. When I reached the 100th episode, I just basically had
Yeah.
a few guests on, and we just recapped what their experience is like on the series.
Oh, well, that's all well and good. But yeah, even to go back to your question, though, for just a second, I was kind of bummed out in the beginning, but nowadays, I can't really concern myself with how many numbers I'm getting because if you, it's just going to you're going to stress yourself out and you're going to think about it too much and compare yourself to other YouTube channels. And I don't want to necessarily do that because, listen, if a
No,
YouTube channel has 1 million subscribers, congratulations, good for you. Do we
you
have
like
a
you like
million
you.
subscribers? No, we don't. Do we have 100,000 views on our channel? Probably not. But you know what? It At the end of the day, I was upset about it in the beginning, but nowadays I just enjoy the ride. I just focus on
Yeah,
making my video, making sure that people are having a good time. I make sure that my guests or my panelists, whoever's on that video, is enjoying themselves. And
yeah.
this is a fun fact for you, Wayne. I've had certain guests. I don't want to throw out any names because I don't want to disrespect anybody because every guest that we've had on every single one of our videos, whether it's the original crew of Nerd Culture or the people we've met through distance nerding, or Wayne, such as yourself, or some of the other people we've met across the internet sphere, as some people like to call it, the internet. I gotta tell you, I've had people come to me backstage in the virtual green room of our studio, whether it's for And I Quote or it's for other shows, and say, "That was the most fun I've ever had on a podcast. Thank you for having me." Like just
That brings you joy too.
yeah, and someone actually said this to me a while back, and they said, "I've done like 100. I've done like 140 shows because I've been doing these Kickstarters, and I'm trying to get the word out about my comic book series, and I'm trying to, promote myself and get myself out there. I got to tell you, you are the most fun host that I've met, and you." And someone said this. One of the other guests that we've had on Nerd Culture said this to me just a few days ago. They said, "You're good at what you do because you keep it going. Like you have a flow about you. Like you just know you bring everything back to where it needs to be, and you just keep the conversation going. And you don't let anything stammer or linger for too long." And I just want to say thank you for that. And people have told me it's the best podcast I've ever been on. People say that you're the best podcast network I've been. Like when I hear any guests tell me that, whether it's in the green room, whether they say it in front of the camera when we're live in front of the virtual audience, that tells me that you're doing something right and you shouldn't give it up. Because if you keep getting this feedback, it's gonna pay off in the long run, hands down.
Oh,
Because
I agree.
people say that constructive criticism or people criticizing you or whatever, sometimes it can go over well, sometimes it can't. But anytime someone gives me a compliment, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm doing something right. I'm learning. I've done
You're
my
doing good.
I've you know what I mean? Like the work is paying off. The hard work is paying off. And the other thing is, and people have said this to me too, whether I'm on a podcast or off podcast, they just say, you just got a natural, voice about yourself. Like you just know how to carry yourself and know how to run a show and run a tight ship. And I said, look, I grew up watching other people do these kind of things. And I just take what I see and I learn from what they're doing. And I just put it in the back of my mind and think, okay, this is how the person presents themselves when they're presenting a story, or how they're telling a story, or how they're asking somebody a question, and how they're waiting for the person's response before they say anything more. Because I do my best, although it's not always easy. I do
No,
my
I
best
know.
not to talk over somebody when they're answering a question because I want to hear everything that they're saying. I want to listen and just tune into what they're saying. But sometimes if they say something that I'm a big fan of, I'll say, "Yeah, like, dude, like Batman '89, I love that movie." Like depending on what they say or how they phrase it, I'm thinking, "Oh, I can geek out with this person like for hours." So
Oh, wholeheartedly.
just depends. But anyway, hope that answers your question about
Well,
was
no,
I?
that did. I love it. Like even like I've had guests like when I've asked them a question, they'll go and turn and like ask me a question. It's like, I thought I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
Yeah. Yeah, and the tables were turned on me at one point because I did a show for a great group of people. I want to give them a shout out: Kelly, Crayley, everybody at Back of the Cereal Box, the Back of the Cereal Box Network. They do the Multiverse fundraiser, and one of the guests I interviewed for the Multiverse fundraiser is a virtual convention that we raise money for a good cause. We do a different cause each year, and it's held on the Back of the Cereal Box Network. You can find them on YouTube and what's the other one? Spotify and Facebook, all that stuff. Hi guys. So one of the guests we had was the individual who played the Sheriff Adams on Smallville, the hit TV series Smallville. And for the life of me, I forget her name. I'm so sorry, I'm blanking right now. But she was the guest that I was interviewing. I was moderating that panel. And during that panel, I have my stuff in front of me. I'm asking her questions, right? They're called show notes, people. It never hurts to have show notes in front of you. So I'm asking her questions, and then all of a sudden she turns the tables and says, "Well, wait a minute. When did you start watching Smallville? When did you like? Are you a Superman fan? Like, were you familiar with the character
If
before
you
this?"
have a clip, if you have a clip of that, I would love to
Oh,
show that
it
clip.
okay. It's on YouTube. I'll send it to you. I'll
Okay,
send.
please.
I'll DM it to you. I'll DM it to you.
It makes me very happy to hear that. It was a fun magazine. It was a fun show. It was a great show. You were how old were you when you started watching it, Ryan?
That's a great question. I started watching it when I was about 18, so it was about midway through season 5 of the
Oh, okay.
series. I didn't get into it until the 100th episode aired. More specifically, it's called Reckoning.
Promise. But anyway, she was amazing. I had a beautiful, wonderful conversation with her, and she was asking me questions. And I'm thinking, aren't I supposed to be asking? Like, what's going on here? Like, when does a celebrity interview the journalist or the personality? Like, when does that ever happen? That hardly ever happens. So when she started asking me questions, I'm thinking, I'm being asked questions by the sheriff of Smallville. What is going on? Like, I don't get it, but I'll roll with it because I love Smallville, and Smallville's my number one favorite show. By the way, hashtag that's a fun fact about Ryan. So she was great, and yes, I would be more than happy to DM you the link to that interview because that was one of the most awesome, like a pleasure and a privilege moments of my life to be able to interview her, but also to have her interview me at the same time. So it was a nice kind of balancing act, if you will.
Now, not big favorites here, but what have been some of your favorite, without, if you don't want to mention names, that's perfectly okay. What have been some of your favorite episodes, like the titles and everything that you've done over the past 4 years doing nerd culture?
Oh, the videos we've put out?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They say that's like picking your favorite child. That's never easy. So that's it.
I
By the
don't
way,
know. I don't have children.
I don't have children either, so I'm just saying like
It's like picking
okay.
your favorite ice cream flavor.
Yeah, no. It's
By the way.
I wondered if this question was going to come up eventually. So all right, here's the thing. Some of my favorite moments, some of my favorite interviews, some of our favorite videos that we've put out. I can't say. Well, let me give a shout out to the crew because the Caroline, Ruth, Greg, Travis, Nick, all you guys, I love you guys. The stuff that we did with Battle of the Nerds, which were trivia competitions, where I was either the competitor or I was the host. Those were some of the most fun videos that we ever did because I think the first, if not one of the very first episodes of what we call Battle of the Nerds, which by the way, there is a playlist on our YouTube channel that you can find this at. So you can go back and watch the tapes. And Wayne, I encourage you to go back and watch the
Oh no,
early days.
I'm gonna go and grab what footage I can to put on this.
Please do. Like the early days, like the early footage that we were working with, it was it was fun, man.
Oh,
So Battle of the Nerds was a lot of fun. The debates, the panels that we did for some of the conventions that we were a part of, those were a lot of fun. But as far as the favorites that I personally have been a part of, outside of the stuff that we did together as a team, I would say the first episode that we did, and we were very fortunate to be picked to be a part of it. I was the host because it was the very beginning of, and I quote, this is the interview show where I interview content creators from all kinds. I interviewed one of the biggest names in Hollywood, and his name is William Sadler. Now, for those of you who don't know that name, you definitely know this man's face. So he's been he was the main villain in Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis. He played the Grim Reaper / Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and he returned for that role in Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I mean,
He's al-
the bald
yeah,
guy with the very health. What?
yeah. He was
That's
also
awesome.
he was also in The Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
And he's also been in films such as Man on a Ledge with Sam Worthington, which I think is a bit of a underrated action thriller in my eyes. He's also played the dad in Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf before he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I got to tell you,
that's a nice way of saying it.
yeah, before he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, it's all right. Listen, we all have our bad days. Shia LaBeouf, I'm looking at you. And William Sadler was making the rounds for the press tour because they were promoting the movie Bill and Ted Face the Music was coming out. And hanging with Web Show, who the people that we are still networking with to this day, who helped get more exposure to our channel with the Anti-Quote series, they were able to get us a 10, 15-minute slot with William Sadler. So I had to do this somewhat at the last minute. And also I had to do it before I had to go to class that day. So I was scrambling to get this done. And the other thing was we didn't have the graphics in our StreamYard studio that you would see on our videos now. So we had to work with a blank background. I had to work with the regular camera setup and everything else. And he likes to be called Bill. Bill Sadler comes in and we do our 15-minute interview. And like I said, I had to do this really quick because I needed to respect his time. I needed to respect my time. And I also needed to get to school. So I was doing a million things and trying to keep myself composed, even though I was in a hurry. So I had to keep my composure, which I was able to do, even though I was incredibly nervous because I'm thinking, this is William Sadler. This guy's been in so many movies and TV shows. How am I going to act in front of this guy? This is our first episode. And luckily, well, actually, very happily, he was very nice, very gracious, very respectful. And I was able to ask him the questions that I wanted to ask him. Not so much about Bill and Ted Face the Music, because obviously you got to ask, hey, what's it like coming back to this role so many years later? But I got a chance to ask him about what was it like working on the Hawaii Five-0 reboot? Or what was it like working with James Spader on The Blacklist? You know, the NBC series, The Blacklist. And he told me how great James Spader was. And I'm like, yeah, Red Reddington, baby. Yeah. So that is certainly one of the biggest moments in the history of my career as a content creator is interviewing William freaking Sadler, which is the very first episode of Anti-Quote. And by the way, shout out to Caroline and anyone else who helped create the thumbnail for that when it went up on our channel, because the thumbnail says Neuroculture Interviews William Sadler, because it wasn't called Anti-Quote at the time. We were still, getting things off the ground. So it's called Neuroculture Interviews. And then it would just be, insert person's name here, right? So Neuroculture Interviews William Sadler, and it's got pictures of every movie and TV series that William Sadler's been in. So thank you, Caroline, and thank you to anybody who helped design that thumbnail when the video went up on our YouTube channel, because if we didn't have a thumbnail for that, it would not have looked as good as it does. So thumbnails, let's be perfectly honest. If you're a content creator and you have a YouTube channel, thumbnails are everything.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I wholeheartedly.
Here's something that you who may be watching and listening to this, you probably already know this, maybe you don't. Use Canva. Use Canva, because Canva is free and you can create many different things on it, including YouTube thumbnails, by the way, Wayne.
Mhm.
So go to Canva.
I use Adobe Express that I use for my YouTube thumbnail.
Okay, which is fine. Whatever program you want to use. But for me personally, I've used Canva for the last number of years, and let me tell you something. Canva is your new best friend.
I've heard good about Canva, though.
It's got tons of templates, tons of color schemes, tons of pictures and graphics, anything else that you could possibly think of. I mean, you can design your own T-shirts on that thing. You can design your business cards, which is, by the way, business cards. That's how I design mine, and other things. So Canva is our best friend. So I would say the interviews we've had with William Sadler, the interviews we've had with Mick Straw and Daniel Pacino when we did the Mortal Kombat, as we were talking about earlier, that is certainly one of the biggest highlights of our careers. And I'm trying to think, what's another one I can think of, because there's so many. But if I had to name a third one or a fourth one, I know I'm cheating. I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's see. Gosh,
anyway.
I mean, interviewing people who we've had episodes of Anti-Quote that have gone a lot longer than an hour, and you can find those out by going to our YouTube channel. The Anti-Quote playlist. So the videos that are the longest are the most fun, because you get to, not only do you get to ask more questions, but you also you get to hear things that you wouldn't otherwise hear. So I got to give a shout out to individuals such as Bobby Nash, BobbyNash.com, great crime fiction writer. Brian K. Morris of Rising Tide Publications. Guys like them have driven my episodes to like hour 45, 2 hours long. But they're a lot of fun though. They're a lot of fun.
If I learn one thing about 2 hour long podcasts, it takes a long time to edit.
Yeah, well, fortunately for us, ours are live, so you can always go back and see the timeline or the thumbnail, whatever. So Bobby Nash, Brian K. Morris. Here. More recently, I want to give a shout out to these individuals because these more recent highlights for you, Wayne. I gotta say, someone once said, whether it was an athlete or a sitcom actor, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I have interviewed because this year is actually the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers. 30th anniversary. Started in 1993, goes to 2023, 30th anniversary of Power Rangers. So I've interviewed Ron Wasserman, who composed the iconic theme songs to our childhood, such as Power Rangers, X-Men from 1992. He's composed Dragon Ball Z. He composed a number of other theme songs for hit
I love
animated.
the Dragon Ball Z theme song, though.
Listen, that was Ron Wasserman. That was all him. So I've interviewed Ron
Wait,
Wasserman.
that was right. The guy who wrote "Rock the Dragon" theme for Dragon Ball Z back in the '90s.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I'm kind of hearing it now between that and Power Rangers.
Well, if you listen to X-Men, it's so good.
Okay, yeah,
So
Yeah.
that was him. That was him. So Ron Wasserman's been on our show recently, and thank you once again to Ron Wasserman for being on the show as a part of the 30th anniversary celebration of Power Rangers. Also, David Fielding, who was the likeness and voice of Zordon during the first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. David Fielding was on with us, and that was a huge honor too, because as somebody who grew up watching every day Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was there every day as a kid, and to be able to sit down and talk with the people who brought these characters and theme songs to life is a huge honor for any fan of any fandom. So Ron Wasserman, David Fielding, thank you both for being on the show.
I wholeheartedly agree. For someone who's had David Fielding on as his first celebrity guest back in 2021,
jeez,
I can tell. I was.
You're probably beaming. Yeah. Inside, your inner 6-year-old is coming out and saying, "Oh my God." Like, it goes back to that question we were talking about earlier. Like, if you had told me that I'd be interviewing guys like David Fielding, Ron Wasserman, and, talking
you're full of shit.
Yeah. And talking to some of these names like William Sadler, who I watched his death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey as a kid, I'm thinking, you're out of your mind. There's no way I'm going to sit down and talk to those guys. No way. And now 30 plus years later, look where we are now. So, though I can name so many others. For example, Roxanne Christian is a music therapist, and that episode of And I Quote with Roxanne Christian, you can find it on YouTube, has gotten a huge amount of views and has gotten a great amount of response. And people are loving that. And then Roxanne told me behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, she says, "Ryan, you're a community leader. Like, you just know how to bring people together." And I told Roxanne that. I said, "Roxanne, thank you for saying that. No one's really ever said that to me before in that sort of way." So thank you to Roxanne Christian, because she is a beautiful person inside and out. So definitely check out the Roxanne Christian And I Quote episode. She is amazing. And I wish all our guests nothing but success moving forward. So I know I've kind of stretched out your answer there, buddy boy, but
no.
Those are some of the favorites of.
You answered it perfectly for favorite moments.
Yeah.
So has nerd culture ever gotten the chance to do media stuff for conventions? Yeah.
Great question. So as a matter of fact, we have been a part of the media / we've gotten press passes for this particular event. We've done it 2 years in a row now. It is Shore Leave in Hunt Valley, Maryland, which the venue that it used to be held at, unfortunately, has closed down recently or is about to be closed. So Shore Leave, which is normally in Hunt Valley, Maryland, they are in the process of looking for a new venue. It's still going to be in the state of Maryland. I just want to let everybody know. It is still going to be in Maryland like it always has been. It's just going to be in a different part of Maryland than it used to be in Hunt Valley. So please keep your eye on social media. Follow them online at shore-leave.com. Wonderful convention, great group of people. I volunteered with them. I've been volunteering with them for the last 9 years or so, and we've been on the press pass or the media credentials. We've gotten media credentials for 2 years now, and I got to tell you, when you get press passes and you're actually interviewing the celebrity guests at a convention
It's
where
different. Huh?
where you love to geek out with fellow geeks and you like to nerd out with fellow fans, yes, it is a different animal than doing it inside a studio.
I mean,
So
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I
When
feel
you
like
have that lanyard, you see what I'm saying? When you have a lanyard and a badge around your neck, and it says media or it says press or however they phrase it, because I don't want to disrespect the other conventions that are out there.
no.
That means that you've arrived. That means that, hey, I am here. I am taking this seriously to the point where I am getting a pass that we earned, that we applied for, that we were able to succeed in getting at. So yes, we have interviewed people at Shore Leave. We have playlists for both Shore Leave 42 and Shore Leave 43, which Shore Leave 43 was 2023 and Shore Leave 42 was 2000, I believe, 22.
Like
And
that scene from Wayne's World 2 where Wayne and Garth are showing their badges to everyone.
yeah, yeah, it's like, hey, we got press passes, guys, or we got backstage passes. Let us through. All right, you guys are good. Hey, my girlfriend's in there. Hey, a lot of people's girlfriends are
Girlfriends.
denied. Anyway, sorry. I grew up on both movies, especially Wayne's World 2 more so than one, but I like
You're
both of them.
fine. But you
I
were
like.
saying it's a nice privilege, but you don't abuse it as a thing as well.
Well, yeah. So to answer your question, yes, we have been a part of the media for Shore Leave. We hope to continue to be a part of the media team over there at Shore Leave and get interviews and see everybody again next year for 2024, wherever they decide the new venue is going to be and the location. With all due respect to the committee, I wish you the best of luck with that. So, and we haven't done press passes, but we did what are known as convention vlogs, if you're familiar with those. So
I'm familiar. I have a good friend. I'll have to get a good friend who does convention vlogs for conventions. She has a YouTube channel and does all that stuff as well.
oh, we have to send me the links in the backstage area here when we're done. So we did convention vlogs at one of the biggest shows on the planet, and this is Awesome Con in our nation's capital of Washington D.C.
I've heard of Awesome Con.
Dude, it is a lit show. It is the size of 4 or 5 football fields. The floor plan is enormous. It's ridiculous. And then you go upstairs and there's the panel rooms and there's the registration where you got to pick up your badge and pick up your, what do you call it? Pick up the program bag and the bags and all that stuff.
Yeah, all
So
that.
I got to tell you something, man. Convention vlogs were they were fun, but man, were they they were crazy.
They take a lot out of you. From
They
someone
take
who's
a,
done-
well, they took a lot out of our videographers, which in this case I think it was a combination of Caroline, Greg, and Travis. So
Oh,
that was
no.
wild. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And I remember them. We went to DC together, and we took we took the subway into DC. We got to town. We got to the convention. Like if you go, you can go back and watch these vlogs. They're all on our YouTube channel. I got to tell you something. Looking back on that, I say to myself, man, I wish we could have done that more. I wish we could have done it more. Because now that the team has moved on to greener pastures and it's just me by myself,
Oh
but
no, it takes a lot out of you. Trust me. I know. I'm
it's
all
a
too familiar with that.
it's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of scheduling. It's a lot of work. But you know what? We've done convention vlogs at Awesome Con, which has been a blast. And I do mean a blast. And then we did media passes at Shore Leave, which we've done the last 2 years in a row. We've had the pleasure of interviewing Eddie McClintock from Warehouse 13. We've interviewed Bonnie Gordon, who's the voice of the ship's computer on Star Trek Prodigy. By the way, Bonnie Gordon is a singer, a dancer, a voice actress, an actor. I mean, that woman's a triple, quadruple threat.
Like, so I remember seeing a while back your interview with her on the channel.
Bonnie Gordon.
Yeah.
She is a nerd, like to the extreme, and we love her all the more for it. And Bonnie Gordon, if you're watching this, you're awesome. Just giving you 2 thumbs up, Bonnie. We love you. So we've interviewed Bonnie Gordon, we've interviewed Amy McClintock, we've interviewed the vendor. We like to interview vendors at conventions. We love interviewing vendors. So
you got to support your local artists.
the vendor, yeah, the local artists, the indie people. Like we've interviewed Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs, which once again, all these interviews are available to watch on our YouTube channel. At Signs by Kelly on Instagram, by the way, at Signs by Kelly on Instagram. So we've interviewed Kelly from Halcyon Designs. We've interviewed, what's his name? Is it Andrew? I think it's Andrew from Trekatecture. We've interviewed David Mamina, who's a indie dark fantasy writer. David Mamina, he's a great guy. We actually just had him on And I Quote last week. Hi, David. Great to see you. Hope everything's well. And Yeah, we love interviewing vendors. I mean, the celebrities are great and everything, but when you interview the vendors, it's like, man, you get like they're some of the most creative people on the planet. So
Oh yeah.
the vendors are
Oh,
great. If you ever have
I-
press passes at a convention, interview as many vendors as you can because not only is that supporting them, they're going to support you back. So
oh
you know
no,
what I mean? It's the
I
old,
can attest to that.
it's the old expression, pay it forward. Pay it forward. So if you support them, they're going to support you. If I support Kelly from Signs by Kelly on Instagram, she's going to support me by either sharing my post, or if she sees something that I may like, she may tag me in it, or she may DM it to me and say, "Hey, I thought you might like this." Blah blah blah. So I'm very proud to call those people my friends, and I'm also proud to call them fellow nerds. So yes, we've done the media thing, and we hope to be doing press passes next year for Shore Leave in a specific part of Maryland. We're not sure where yet. And I wouldn't mind, honestly, if the team wants to do it. I mean, Graham, we got to sit down and talk about it, but I would love to do a convention vlog at AwesomeCon again. That would be
That'd be pretty cool.
AwesomeCon is lit. I got to tell you,
Yeah.
it is a fantastic show. But I will say this: fair warning to anyone who's been to AwesomeCon, and for those of you who've been to this venue, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot out of you. I mean, any convention can wipe you out cold, but this convention really tests your feet to the extreme because it's the size of like 3, 4 football fields, just the main exhibitors hall alone, with Celebrity Row, by the way. And then upstairs, you got to walk all around the convention center just to find your panel room. So which by the way,
Oh,
that to a certain extent, that could be like a maze, but enjoy AwesomeCon for what it is because AwesomeCon has had some of the biggest names in the industry at that event, and also some of the greatest vendors in the history of the
I totally
business
believe it.
have been at AwesomeCon. So Wayne, if you haven't been to AwesomeCon, you need to buy yourself a one-way ticket to DC, my friend, because
Jeez, I don't. Trust me. I already have conventions planned. I'm actually going to be doing media coverage slash the convention showcase for my first big convention,
ooh,
here in November
really,
this year. So that's going to be fun and
what show is
interesting.
that? Are you allowed to say what show it is? Or are you keeping it a secret?
Oh yeah, so I'll be doing. Well, I mean, I might as well do a little quick promotion for that. I will be Cosplay Contact will be making his first appearance for a convention showcase at KomoriCon this year in Portland, Oregon, on
Ooh,
November 17th through the 19th.
sounds like fun. Enjoy that.
It's gonna
Soak
be a
it up.
big.
Is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna be doing it all by myself, from recording to interviews, and no camera crew yet. But I'd love to like, if I keep on doing this, I'm gonna need a goddamn camera crew.
Yeah, in the words of the film from 1975, you're going to need a bigger boat. So
I'm gonna need a
yeah,
bigger.
you're going to need a bigger boat, bigger crew, lots of cameras, lots of microphones. But hey, you know, if you dream
So,
it, you can do it. So to answer your question, yeah, we've done the press thing, and we hope to continue doing it in the years to come with the team because it's a lot easier when you do have a team with you and not by yourself. So
oh yeah.
see how it goes. So cross your fingers, cross your toes. We'll see what happens in 2000.
It takes a crew to run it. It takes a crew to run a ship, not just the captain.
No, yeah, it's a whole other thing. But yes, we've done the media thing, and we've had a lot of fun with it. And you can always go back and watch those videos.
Oh no, I plan to. So two more questions.
Yeah.
It's a question that I actually someone recommended I asked when I was doing a cosplay contact one.
Mhm.
What kind of impact has content creating had on your life?
I would say the biggest impact for everything that I've done the last about 4 years or so is the networking, but also the connection and the friendships that I've made through putting out these videos and doing these interviews and just enjoying the ride, honestly. So I would say the biggest impact it's made on me and being a content creator is networking is very important, whatever industry that you're in, but the friendships, because I've met so many people through Facebook, which I know can always not be a nice place. Facebook is, I mean, any social media platform is going to have its positives and negatives. Facebook isn't always the kindest place on earth, but I've made a lot of friends on Facebook. I made a lot of friends through Instagram. I actually got people to be on my show because I reached out to them on Instagram because they didn't know who I was on Facebook. They didn't know who I was
Instagram and
on,
TikTok are the best places I've noticed.
yeah, they didn't know who I was on, the YouTube circuit yet. They didn't know who I was. So I found them through looking through Instagram, and I follow them, and then they would follow me back, right? And then you would go and send them a DM and say, hey, my name is so and so, I do a channel, I run this, I do that, and if you like to be on my show and talk about so and so topic, I'd love to have you. If you want, just let me know. So I would say the biggest impact it's made is the friendships I've made, the connections I've made, and just it's been a heck of a ride, man. I got to be honest. I mean, I'm so grateful for the friends I've made, because honestly, and this is something maybe the person who may be watching or listening to this can attest to. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them. I don't want to do that. But when I was in school, I had friends. I did. I did have friends when I was in school, but I didn't have nearly as many as I do now. I was never Mr. Popularity in school. I was never the popular one. I was never the
different
jock.
older.
I was never the Zach Morris, if you will. For those of you who grew up in that era, you know who I'm talking about. I was never the Zach Morris. I was never the Corey Matthews. I was never the DJ.
Flash Thompson.
I was never the DJ Tanner. I was never the Steve from Full House. I was none of that. I was none of it. And like I said, and we've all struggled with this. We've all struggled with this, right? I was bullied almost every day from like kindergarten until 11th grade. I'm not even kidding you. It got bad in certain spells, but the best thing that's happened to me since I've been a content creator is the friendships I've made, and I'm proud to call a lot of those people that I've met over the years my closest friends, because I've had people come to me after certain shows that we've done on Nerd Culture Channel, just to be more specific here for you, Wayne. And they've said to me behind the scenes, this isn't in front of the camera. They said behind the scenes, they said, look, if you ever need to talk, I'm here to listen. Like if you're going through something and you don't know what to do, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. And because life isn't easy. We all know this. We've known this pretty much since we were little boys, little girls, whatever. Life is not easy, and it's never going to be. It's never going to be. But content creation and being a content creator has made me realize who my true friends are and who are not my true friends. And some days it's easier than others. We've all been there. And I'm proud to say that I have a number of people that I can go to when I'm at my worst. Because when I'm at my lowest, my friends help me when I ask them to. And I feel we as a community, as nerds/geeks, however you want to phrase it, we are at our best when we work together and we don't work against each other. Because I've seen so much negativity on the interwebs. I've seen people be so mean and nasty to other people about if they like a certain fan. Like someone came to me, I don't want to give this person's name away because I want to respect them, and they're always going to be my friend no matter what. But someone came to me the other day and they said, you know what, I've had so much negative experiences recently on the interwebs that I don't care about the fandoms that I used to care about anymore, because it's just gotten so negative. And I haven't said this to this individual, and I don't want to speak for them, and I don't want to tell them how to live their life, because it's their decision. I'm not going to make them do something they don't want to do. But I would say to them, listen, the internet has trolls. Okay. The internet has a dark side. And believe me, I've heard about it. I've seen some of it. And I'm telling you, it's not a pretty sight. But what I have learned is that if you like something, go out and celebrate it. If you want to talk about a movie that you like that nobody else does, who cares? Just enjoy the movie. Because believe me, I've had people come to me and comment on some of our videos and say, why aren't you showing this? Or why are you ragging on this or whatever? And I'm thinking, listen, some movies I just don't like, or some actors.
It's your own opinion too.
There are some actors who I'm just not a fan of. And sometimes people, not all the time, but once in a blue moon, someone will come to me and say, how dare you disrespect that? I'm like, look, no actor is perfect, okay? And second of all, the internet has gotten dark in certain places that people have turned away from their fandoms. And what I would say to those individuals is this: don't let the negativity win out, because if you like Star Wars, then go ahead and celebrate Star Wars. If you like DC, celebrate DC. If you like Marvel, if you like Pokemon, if you like, we were talking about Dragon Ball Z earlier. If you like, I respect Dragon Ball Z, but I'm not like a fan of it, but I respect it because I know people who are fans of it. So, and plus I can learn a thing or two from DBZ because I've read a bit of the manga. So it's like manga and anime really aren't my thing, but that doesn't mean I'm going to hate on it, or it doesn't mean I'm going to hate somebody for liking it, because why would I care? If they like DBZ, then fine. If they like Doctor Who, I'm never going to understand that universe. It's too
No,
confusing. But I know people.
it's very confusing. I can attest to that.
But I know people who are Whovians, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if you get what these people are doing, then fine by me, because I don't get what they're saying. So enjoy it for what it is, because I don't get it. But yeah, so the biggest impact is friendships and connection and networking. So I would say that's the best thing that's happened to me since being a content creator is the friends I've made. Because man, I was never popular when I was in school when I was a youngin, but nowadays, look how many friends I got. I got tons I can talk to right now if I had a problem. I can go to several of them if I just want to geek out with them for a period of time, which is the reason why I do so many shows during the week, because there's always something to geek out about. And there's
Oh
always
no,
there's always something to talk about. There's always something to celebrate or be proud of. For example, I just started doing this a couple months ago, Wayne. Full disclosure, I've been a Star Wars fan for years, but I never read any of the books. So now I'm starting to dive in and read the standalone novels because those are a lot easier to follow than some of the series that are going on now, like High Republic. Too much, but I'm reading Star Wars novels now, and I'm enjoying the living heck out of it. And then when I'm done reading a book, I post my review of it on Goodreads, which is an app that you can download straight to your phone or your computer. Goodreads is a place where other readers or writers can go to promote their work, or they can share reviews of the books that they've read. So if anyone wants to follow me on Goodreads, have at it, because I post all my reviews are posted on my Goodreads account, and then I share those reviews on my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, and then people come back to me and they say, "Oh, that's a great book. I love that one." Or they just, like it, or they share it or whatever. So believe me when I tell you, this is something I've learned in the last couple of years of being a content creator. I'm more of a bookworm / book fan now than I ever was when I was a kid. Because as a kid, you have to do it for school. You have to read the book. They make you read the book. You have to study for the test on the Scarlet Letter and, the Great Gatsby and all that stuff. Like, you had to read all that. I didn't want to read those, man. That's not my scene. I want to read, like back then I would have read Star Wars books. I would have read, I mean, I don't think they had these, but like Power Ranger books, even though they had the cheap, they had ones that are not like the best quality, but I mean, I would have been reading Star Wars books if I were a kid, and if someone had introduced me to them a bit sooner, or if I mean, granted, I probably stumbled upon them on my local library. I just didn't care at the time. But I become more of a bookworm now than I ever was when I was a kid. And that's because I've learned so much from other people. And that's because I love this fandom so much that I want to learn more about it. And I want to understand it more, because reading a book, and I don't know if anyone has said this to you or not, reading a comic book or reading a book, either one, it doesn't matter, makes you appreciate the fandom that you like or the character that you enjoy.
That's been mentioned quite a few times when I've talked about comic books on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been reading comic books for only 7 years, and I got to tell you, I've learned a ton of stuff. I've respected people. I respect the world of comic books even more now than I did when I was younger. And now that I'm reading these books, which include, Star Wars novels, Western anthologies, and some other books that I have here on my bookshelf, which has got a lot. My TBR, which stands for To Be Read list, Wayne, is quite long. So I got a long ride ahead of me, but it's enjoyable. So it just makes me appreciate reading more, because, we learned this when we were kids. All you got to do is take a look. It's in a book. That's all you got to do. So thank you to Reading Rainbow and LeVar Burton, because, man, all we got to do, Wayne, is take a look. It's in a book. That's all you got to do. And it's so much fun reading a book because it's escapism. It's so much fun. And man, it just enhances your understanding and your education about fiction and how fictional worlds can be. And also, it gets the imagination going in your mind. And don't you just love when you watch or read something that hits you to the point where your imagination's running wild with picturing this in your mind? It's so much fun because it's like you're creating your own movie. And
I haven't read a book in a long time, but I can agree that it's definitely
well, Wayne, you may want to sit down one day and take a look. It's in a book. All you need to do, Wayne, you might want to take a look. Reading a book is just as much fun as reading a comic book. Let's be perfectly honest. You gotta balance the two out, man. You can't just have comic books are great, but if you read with words on a page, It's a beautiful thing. I don't want you to turn into that guy we knew back in 1990. I want to say it was 1991, Gaston, where he says, "How can you read this? There's no pictures." Well, some
Uh,
people use their imagination. That's all you gotta do, Wayne. Use your imagination, my friend, because it'll carry you far in life. Anyway, hope that
oh,
answers your question about being a
oh, no,
content.
that did, and you already answered the second question I was going to ask. So,
Which is what?
last thing is, basically, as you know, drop your links. Where can people find you if they want to stay up to date with nerd culture or just any nerd stuff? Where can people find you? Where can people follow you so they can stay up to date with what you do?
It's a great question, even though I figured it was going to happen at some point or another during the course of this episode. So, because we do it at the end of every one on our network. So here's the deal. First of all, thank you for having me. This has been great.
Oh,
It's been a
cool.
lot of fun. It's great to see you again. If you ever need me to come back and do one of these things or do
Oh
anything
no, I
else,
mean and if also if you're looking for a guest, then you're let me know because I'm always
yeah,
happy to not have to work and edit stuff.
yeah. I'll have to, hey, vice versa. We pay it forward for each other. Indie supports indie. But to answer the question, follow me on Twitter and Instagram personally at RyanRPM5, which is at my name tag. You can find it right here as at the bottom of your screen. And also follow us at Nerd Culture Channel on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook at It's Nerd Culture ITS. Nerd Culture, it's all one word, no underscores, no fancy, signs or anything. So at It's Nerd Culture on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and follow us on YouTube at Nerd Culture Channel. We want to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year of 2023. Help us get there so we can do that live stream, big celebration with returning favorites, surprise guests. Maybe William Sadler will join us. I don't know. We're going to be giving away prints and some other things. Some of these prints were donated to our good friend by the Art of John Pinto, so you can end up winning this print.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, follow the Art of John Pinto on Instagram and Facebook because that guy is a boss. So we want to give these. I got a lot more prints where this came from. These are just a few examples. We have a Doctor Who.
Be sure to follow and like and subscribe. See, there's a chance you could potentially win.
Yeah,
A
these
really
are
well.
prints that we're going to be giving away either during the live stream or some other way. We're still in the process of figuring out how we're going to do it. Probably do it during the live stream because that's going to be more fun and more crazy. We also have this. We have Darth Vader. If you're a Star Wars fan, we got some Vader love because Hayden just came back recently in a little indie series
I would
called
love
Ahsoka.
to hang on my wall, in my office.
Yeah, yeah. If you're a fan of this guy, the wall crawling menace of New York City, Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Parker, I need those pictures. So, Daily Bugle, look at that. So the Art of John Pinto has graciously
I'm gonna have to follow him if he has an Instagram.
given these to us to give away to our fans / subscribers. So if you want to have a chance to win these and walk away with these things and have us send these to you, we'll get you shipping and get you shipped out and everything, and we'll figure out the shipping details and everything else. Follow us, like us, subscribe to the channel. The biggest thing we want you to do is subscribe to the channel because we want to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. We got some really good shows coming your way. We got the Meaning of Fandom, on our channel. That we got the Nerdy Cantinas on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Meaning of Fandom, the episodes are to be announced, but the links to the new episode that's going to be dropping on Wednesday, was November 1st, is on our social media network channel, so you can find those there. But yeah, just follow us, check us out, give us a subscribe to the channel, like our videos, share them out, tell all your friends about us because they're going to tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and so on and so on and so on. You know how these things go. There's a little Wayne's throwback there for you. But listen, Wayne, this was great, and thanks for having me. And
oh no, of course.
yeah,
Doug,
I love doing this. I love being a part of these shows, and I love supporting other people. So definitely check out our content. If you like what you see, you want to see something else, let us know. We're always looking to hear from you guys in the comments of our videos. Definitely check them out. There's something for everybody too. So share it with your little ones, share it with the teenagers, the adults, the dogs, the cats living together, mass hysteria, all that stuff. I couldn't help it, man. I gotta say, because it's spooky season. And by the way, if you like and share our videos and you like what you see here and like and share this video, that's a big Twinkie. So there you go. Thanks for having me, Wayne. This was fun.
Thank you. And I think that should do it again. Ryan, thank you. And I want to thank Nerd Culture. And, I'm glad to have you back on this hectic series of mine. So yeah, that should do it. As always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for watching.